Okay, hey everyone. I am Ricardo Delgado. I am with the great, the marvelous, the talented Dennis Bissonnette. Dennis, how you doing?
I'm okay. Another day.
Dennis, by the way, is coming off one of the most incredible days of bowling I think most anyone can say. We were at a tournament yesterday in Chicopee, Massachusetts, and Dennis threw a pair of 300s, a pair of 270 somethings,
Yeah.
280 something.
A lot of striking.
Not bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, like what always fascinates me is when someone's doing that well, I'm always like, what's going through your head? And Dennis is like, I don't know, strikes.
It, it was literally just throw the ball one at a time. I was helping one of the juniors who's also bowling the tournament, keeping her head in it and trying to make sure she didn't freak out over missing a spare or two. So it was nice to focus on someone else's game while I just walked up there and threw the ball and struck a lot.
Yeah. So a note to anyone out there is try to do something else when you're pulling your brains out. So, all right.
Yep.
So this is a different conversation, though. We are here to talk about Hammer's new 25th anniversary release of the 3D offset. I've already done a review video on it that you can find. I'm going to probably post something right up there. And I really want to get Dennis on because, like me myself, I can only speak so much on things because I am still so new to everything and I only know so much. And Dennis, very kindly agreed to sort of jump into one of these review videos and kind of talk about a new ball and this equipment. He's also Brunswick staff, so just want to say that up front so that we get that out there. So first of all, Dennis, let me ask you, since we both have thrown this ball and you've thrown it probably last week a couple of times, just what's your impression of this new piece of equipment?
So it's got a very unique shape to it. And I say that in a good way, as it fills a spot in my bag. With it being a sanded pearl, it kind of makes it's a little smoother, not so quick off the spot, has that nice rounded shape. Reminds me of the original 3D offset that I've seen thrown. I didn't get the chance to throw one, but it's just so smooth and gets to the pins in a great way, while also so strong for like today's conditions. It definitely a different piece out of, if you look at the 7 brands Brunswick has.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of said that since I lean more towards Storm, not on purpose, but because of Brad and Kyle videos. But for me, like I feel like it's this mix between reality and altered reality that it reads early, so I get that sort of like reality side, but then it also has that sort of like late break that the altered
That's that
reality
sanded
has.
pearl. That's that sanded pearl right there.
Yeah, and it really makes up for someone like me who is a light tweener. I don't know if I could even own that. It makes up for a lot of error that I make, either making up for it going too out, which sometimes reality doesn't do well for me, or the altered reality, which can be too strong and go too long. It gets that early read. I really have to say I was extremely pleased to kind of find this ball and have it in my bag now.
Your first 700 with it too.
Yes, that and I was going to bring that up. I threw a 700 and not even like one of those 300 game 700s. It was like 235, 239, 226, and I would say it's because this ball rolls so cleanly. It just really rolls cleanly and stuff like that. The one negative I would say, and only a negative because of conditions and stuff like that, at this tournament we're at, I started with the 3D offset and I got no action out of it. And it wasn't because the lanes were necessarily very wet. I think it was a 9-to-1 pattern, but it was that the end of the pattern kind of didn't have the sort of dry outside top hat that I think makes up for someone like me. So it just kind of kept going. So I couldn't come around the corner for it. Again, I'm a low tweener. I don't have the revs that you have. Dennis, did you try throwing the offset yesterday?
I gave it a couple tries in practice. I ended up seeing it. I could get to the pocket with it, but I think with the fresh, because I hit it with a 2000 pad, what it is out of box, and I hit it before we started bowling just to get it that fresh surface again. And I think for me, it was just picking up too early and then being a little late through the pins. So it kind of just deflected as it hit the 1-2 being left-handed. It just didn't get through the pins as well as I wanted to.
Yeah. And now by all means, like I want to reiterate, especially because a lot of the people I think who follow my page are like, you know, more of the beginner to like intermediate level bowler. Like I am, I'd call myself like kind of like entering into intermediate level, which is like, this doesn't mean the ball is bad or like the ball doesn't do what it wants. It just means you have to learn how to understand what your ball does. And this is a really, really good example of a strong ball reading too early. And so therefore not having anything left as it's getting to the pin. So just a piece of advice to learn to read the lane from front to back as opposed to left to right. That's a piece of advice that I got, and I'm still kind of understanding what that means. And this is like a perfect example of that. Cool.
That's a big part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we filmed a little bit of practicing on this practice, and so I wanted to go over that. Dennis, I looking at our shots with it. This was actually from not that much before the tournament. I think the Wednesday before, and this was actually the same bowling alley with the same pattern. Dennis starting off first, and you know, lefty versus righty in a certain way. You know, cranker versus tweener. Great shot on the first shot. I think it had an excellent shape. Definitely a much better shape than I think happened during the tournament, though. What
Yeah. Bowling on the pattern beforehand, the ball felt like it was hitting the end of the pattern and making a strong move through the pins. Then come the tournament yesterday, I don't know if it was the fresh pattern being down right there, right then, or what it was, but it just felt like the ball just wasn't making that strong move in the back. But then again, it was probably because I hit it with a fresh pad. Yeah. If anything, for me.
Yeah. And for me right there, you can see the ball came in at the end of the shot there. Also, my first shot, it kind of really came in, which was not happening at all on the day of. So again, just really fascinating to see how it works. But I really think these shots are much more emblematic of what you can expect from the 3D offset. When I threw my 700, this is what I saw the ball doing. Really, I think on my shot, it may even be a little bit more obvious on my next one, how early in the shot it's going to read the lane, and you can see it start making its move over. If we just wait for a second, like right about there, I think I pulled it a little bit. It still stayed strong.
You can see it really start picking up.
Yep. Yeah, it's very good. So yeah, and I think what's really good about kind of showing the differences between you and I in this is just how it is also versatile for both you know, for both a hard cranker and for a person who has a lower rev rate. Between the two of us, I think it really ended up being like it really is a fantastic ball. I can't speak highly enough about it, to be honest.
They did it justice with the remake. They spent a lot of time getting the new molds to make the core out of it, and they spent a lot of time working on this ball to make it just as close and live up to the hype as the original. That's for sure.
And so, Dennis, for you, like what's the conditions, or like what's the situation that you would really prefer this ball for? Like if you're entering into a situation, like would you throw this a lot on a league night on one of the top hat patterns, or are you looking for something else?
I feel like I want, and I feel like it's gonna come as a surprise, but something 38 feet, maybe 39, a little shorter and a little flatter, to where I can get a little closer to the gutter, have the ball pick up early because it's sanded, and then still make a strong continuous motion off the back. That's not going to be crazy flippy and still get through the pins. Because with those shorter and flatter patterns, you just need control. And I feel like this ball is super controllable and doesn't do a lot of erratic movements off of friction.
Yes, that's a huge point. Actually, I really agree with you that this, like, you just know what you're gonna get. Yeah. It's not gonna be over under. There's not gonna be like one shot. It's gonna pull way too hard over the top. versus another one that it's going to slide out. Like you just know what it's going to do. It's really, really predictable. But with more action than something like reality, which starts off just grabbing immediately, and it's almost like with an arrow or a gunshot, like if you're too far off in the beginning, it's at the end it's going to be too far off. And at least this sort of like lets it go a little bit more. It kind of doesn't, it's not as early.
Yeah, I mean, you can see I'm getting pretty far right now, and I'm still getting to that break point spot, and that pearl cover still gets it strong through the pins, even with getting through all the oil in the middle of the lane.
Yep. Yeah. I think even for me, I think I also in these shots I moved a little bit further left for myself, which is a little bit out of my comfort zone. And also for me, it was coming back in a very nice way, and it was working the way that I wanted it to. Yeah, that's a little bit further out than I normally get it, and it came back nicely.
Yeah,
it's really good. Yeah, I mean, I really like, there's only so much that I think you can kind of gush over a ball in the meantime, but would you, because you also work in a pro shop as well, out of
Wood Pro Shop. Yep.
Out
of this center in Chicopee. Yeah.
In Chicopee. Now, is this a ball you would recommend to a beginner bowler, an intermediate bowler? How would you tell someone that they should, like what type of person should have this in their bag?
I would definitely say the intermediate kind of your 1 or 2 night a week league bowler to start. I mean, it gives you that miss room outside, it gives you that miss room inside. It's smooth, controllable, and I feel like that's what your average league bowler needs to do what they do. They're not out there practicing every week, but they need a ball that gives them a little bit of extra help. And I mean, even if you're you could even go to the pros that are already throwing this ball, making it look great on every pattern possible. So a beginner bowler, I don't think they need this. I think it's still too strong for, your everyday average league bowler. I mean, your beginner bowler, but you start getting up there a couple nights a week. This is definitely a ball for your league bowlers too.
Yeah. I wouldn't recommend this to be like the only ball a person has in their bag necessarily, because like even for me, when I threw the 700 halfway through the third game that I was in, I had to ball down to a phase 3 because it was just becoming too powerful, and it was getting a little bit too hard to get it out to where I wanted it to exactly. So yeah, I'd say if you have a couple of balls and you have your starter ball, let's say someone has like a tropical storm or a twister or something like that, and they want to get that next level up, this could be like a great beginners or introduction to like a strong ball.
Yep.
Totally.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So I think we're good there. Still have a little bit more time, but that's just for our enjoyment. And just it is fun to kind of like get these test videos out. You can see there that I just kind of slid out on a ball, which was a good example. Like it can't overcome like the throw of a.
Yeah, I did the same thing right there too.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that was emblematic of the lanes during that tournament, right? Anything kind of like outside of 4-3 or so, I threw an embarrassing amount of gutters at that tournament. So that was just sort of like the lane condition and stuff like that. But yeah, like I think we're both saying definitely thumbs up on this one, a good recommendation. And yeah, and hopefully we can do more videos like this at some point in the future. Any other Hammer or 7 brands that I come across
I'm down for anything. Any way I can help, I'm in.
Okay, excellent. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. Hope you got something out of this. Dennis, thanks again for your time. It's such an honor to be, friends with someone who is really kind of making such a name for themselves in this sport. And really excited to see your star continue to rise and everything like that. And so thanks again. And yeah, hopefully more of these soon, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.